Hello and welcome to this very festive GG weekend watch, where I am so excited to be back with my little helpers, Santa's little helpers, Daryl Carter and Andrew Mount, where hopefully we actually finally get some racing to preview for the first time in 3 weekends. And we have a new sponsor on the show, lovely new present for us, because we're delighted that Bet UK have decided to sponsor GG Weekend Watch. They also have a new customer offer. You can find that in the link below, so make sure to utilize that. Now, we will be looking ahead to some of the top class action on Boxing Day from Kempton and Wetherby. So without further ado, lads, we had better crack on, and we will begin with the rescheduled long walk hurdle over 3.5 miles of furlong at 12:45. This grade 1 prize rerouted from the abandoned Ascot meeting, but we get it at Kempton now. Very pleased this race was saved, where Champ heads are betting as the 5-2 favourite. Now, Daryl, of course, I'm going to start with you. When Champ's at the head of a market anywhere, you're his biggest fanboy, so are you siding with him here?
Yeah, well, I've backed Paisley Park and Champ combined odds of about 4 to 5. I just
what?
Yeah, like someone's gonna have to tell me, right, if I'm going absolutely nuts here. Okay, right. Miranda is favourite in some places for this. How on earth can Miranda be favourite at all? She's only ever won outside of Mayor's Company once, and that came in 2019 off a handicap mark of 124. Right, the two rivals she beat at Kempton. We touched on Martello Sky's terrible second time out record in last week's or the week before's show. Right, she beat Martello Sky, she beat Molly Ollie's Wishes. Molly Ollie's Wishes, second time out, has got form figures are pulled up, 5th of 5th, 3rd, 7th, 2nd, and 4th. Right, been well beaten on all occasions. Martello Sky has finished 4th, 8th, and 5th, and we said that she bounced back for the 3rd time. She's got enough to find on ratings. She's up in grade into a grade 1 for the first time. It was a steadily run affair that she won that free runner contest last time. She didn't really prove stamina. Like, this grade 1s are a completely different tempo. I really can't understand. I mean, I thought she should be a 7-1 shot. I don't understand how she's anywhere near 2-1 to top of the market for this. I really don't. Goshen is in here. We love Goshen, but he's a really free going sort. Very hard to keep a lid on. He's stepping up to 3 miles for the first time. He's again got a bit to find on the ratings. People are saying about all of this rain coming at Kempton. They've had a bit on Friday, but you've got to remember it's a sand-based track, so it does drain pretty quickly. Not So Sleepy's never in a million years going to stay the trip. He's a 14-1 chance. Surely he should be a 40-1 chance. Like, honestly, I feel like I'm going mental with this. I see so many people saying how much of a good bet Miranda is. I know she's won twice in December, but my goodness me, this is a different kettle of fish completely to what she's been used to. Paisley, all right, you might say that Paisley might struggle with his trap, but he's won a 2-mile novice round Hereford before. Like, he did really well to get as close to champ as he did at Newbury, given that one set the pace and in the fractions. But he's a grade 1 horse. You know, he's got a record of 3-1-1-1 going right-handed. He's got a good second-time route record on the back of a break. He's won 3 times, was second and pulled up. He's a 3-time grade 1 winner. Champ's a 4-time grade 1 winner. He's won 7 of his 12 hurdle starts. He's also got a good record second time out, 4 wins in a second. Like, how on earth? Please, someone tell me how on earth that these two are not a shade of odds on and 11-10 and bigger the rest. Please, I must be missing something, because I really can't believe this market. I can't.
Oh, I love this. This is no holding back whatsoever, and I am in total agreement with you. I thought I had completely missed something. So if you're mad, I'm mad as well, because we're both in the same camp here. To be fair, we are, and many people will confirm that. But at the same time, when it comes to this race, I think we're thinking along very much the same lines here. Personally, I can't see Champ being beaten in this thing. The track will suit him, and I must have missed something about Miranda. Andrew, can you fill the pair of us in on this?
Yeah, it's tricky. When I looked at this race at the 5-day stage, I was against Miranda because coming outside of Mayor's only company, as Daryl mentioned, Darren,
he's off the Christmas sherry, Mr. Mount. You've been in a mischievous mood already today.
Probably not going to be able to. It's a tricky one, because you've got 3. I mean, it's a terrible race. You've got so I'm trying to preview this without mentioning the good old days and the thistle cracks and
your lad.
Yeah, relatively similar. Yeah, three-time winner.
Had better mention him really.
Exactly. So I looked at Goshen. I thought, well, Goshen loves going right-handed. He loves the mud. They had 18 millimeters of rain at Kempton this morning. They've changed it going to soft officially, and it's tricky to know what it's going to ride like. There's strong winds over the next few days. You look at one forecast, it says there's no more rain. You look at another, it says they might have a bit more. Yeah, not so sleepy is like a complete lunatic king going front runner. In theory, having placed in Cesarewitch is over 2 miles, 2 on the flat, maybe 3 miles over hurdles will suit, but it's a big ask, and like Daryl says, probably should be like 33-1 plus rather than 14-1. Mm-hmm. If you just look at Goshen's right-handed record over hurdles, 6 from 9, you can make a case, but then again, it's the stamina thing, isn't it? Miranda, great course form, 2 from 2 here over hurdles at Kempton. Another thing you've got to consider is the running styles. When it gets very soft at Kempton, you do not want to be on the inside on the hurdles track. It's like Wincampton, Leicester, pretty much any other sort of right-handed track over hurdles, Hereford. You've got to be late and wide, ideally. Now, that was the ride Miranda was given when she won here last time out. So I keep coming back to Paisley Park. I know he's a 10-year-old and he's a bit of a lunatic nowadays. He can miss the break, but I think 4-1 backing him each way. He's one of like only 2 in the race are probably going to be given any sort of patient ride. If Aidan Coleman's not the greatest when it comes to spotting a track bias, but if he keeps him late and wide, then he could come down that near side rail. So it was kind of like, crikey, just stick all 5 in the place spot and hope for the best. But I will probably, at the current prices, back Paisley Park each way if I was having a bet.
Yeah, I mean, Paisley Park, like I say, he's really been pushed out there. I completely agree with the pair of you. I thought it was going to be between Champ and Paisley Park at the head of the market. But yeah, in a race where a whole load of these horses should have been writing a lobotomy on their Christmas wish list, it's going to be entertaining nonetheless anyway with these bunch of characters. But at least we've cleared it up in our own minds a little bit that we've not completely lost the plot just yet. Right, our next race at Kempton is the Grade 1 Corso Star Novices Chase 4-year-olds and over 3 miles at 120, where we only have 5 runners. Paul Nicholls has the top 2 in the market with McFabulous and Angelino Bello. So, Andrew, how do you play this Grade 1?
Yeah, funny one. I mean, bang against Time Hill over. He went chasing late in the day, and I was at Exeter for his chase debut. I was like on a balcony overlooking the track as he's sort of like coming past me. And my God, they were going so slow. I know he won that race by 17 lengths, but I think me and Daryl would have given him a race that day. He was so deliberate in his jump. I mean, next time out in Newbury, I took him on, back McFabulous, and he's finished 6.5 lengths back in second. The cheap pieces go on. I don't think he's a chaser. Now I know McFabulous also went chasing late in the day as an 8-year-old. But I've got a bizarre theory about McFabulous that he needs his first 2 runs of the season, which sounds a bit bonkers because he has kind of won first or second time out on a number of occasions, but usually in Mickey Mouse company. Mm-hmm. And I think if you look at his sort of third or subsequent starts, he's won something like 7 out of 10. So I thought he's probably going to be there or thereabouts. It's Nicholls at this meeting. Sort of back him at 5-4, stick him in the place spot. Angelino Bello's bidding to make it 3 from 3 over fences, bidding to win for the 5th straight time. He could go well. There's been money around for the Skelton horse Galia de Lito, but this one won over 2 miles and a bit of banger last time out. I tried to make a case for the Fergal O'Brien run and Mortlack at sort of 40-1, but not a race I really like apart from taking on Time Hill, who's not a natural jumper of fences. So I'll go McFabulous, but I think it's a straightforward favourite beats second favourite Nicholls 1-2.
Yeah, so siding with the Nicholls angle, taking on the Hobbs runner of Time Hill, who they're still persisting over fences with. Daryl, who do you like?
Yeah, I think McFabulous probably should be a shade of odds on, really. I think he is from one place, but it was a good performance at Newbury, albeit he did have the run of the race himself. The thing with Time Hill is I kind of do think he has a future over fences. He just doesn't let himself down. Like he was at Newbury, he was just very free in Tom O'Brien's hands, and it doesn't surprise me that they're continuing with him. He's got a good record going right-handed, and he's a horse that I think needs plenty of time between his races. I mean, me and Andy mentioned that last year when he was over hurdles, and
Yeah, he's only had 30 days here, hasn't he?
Yeah, exactly. So that's slightly disappointing for me. I would have liked to have seen him back out at the end of January and going to the festival perhaps a bit fresh with an each way chance in the Browns in Brown Advisory. But I don't know what to make of him here. The cheek pieces, I don't think he needs cheek pieces personally. I don't think there's anything been wrong with the way he travels through his races, but he was just always being asked away at a fence at Newbury, and I just didn't like that from him. I wouldn't be surprised if he got a lot closer to McFabulous this time around at Kempton, but I do think McFabulous, who is 2 from 2 here over hurdles, is just on a bit of an upward curve. Confidence is high, and he couldn't be coming to a better track really for another victory over fences. So yeah, McFabulous for me, but I expect Time Hill to get a little bit closer.
Oh, okay then. So yeah, different opinion then with Time Hill perhaps to get closer to McFabulous, but the pair of you with the top horse there at the market anyway, the Paul Nicholls runner in McFabulous. Now we have what looks a very good renewal of the Roland Merrick up next, even with the horse you're electing to go to the King George instead of this race, which comes from Wetherby and is a Premier Handicap chase for 4-year-olds and over 3 miles at 1:35. But Daryl, I like the look of this race, but who are you siding with?
I'm going to give Zanza another shout.
I knew it. Oh, we should have done the secret envelope again, Andrew.
Yeah. Well,
really, God, I've lost it.
Well, really, I am going to back 2. But I am going to give Zanza a shout. He was 25 to 1 during the week. He's now 11 to 1. I just don't think there's a lot wrong with him. I thought he ran really well here behind Carl Philippe over that 2 mile 3 trip. Obviously, the step up to 3 miles is something that we were saying that he was needing last year. He's gone up £10 for that Newbury win, but it was so emphatic. The blinkers have only just recently gone on. He always threatened last year to be a 150 plus horse. So 144 should be, it should be workable enough for him. And I just think he's going the right way. He was right down at the betting amongst like the likes of Kalashnikov and Lost in Translation, which was clearly wrong, and punters have latched onto that now. He's around 11 to 1. I think he's got a good chance. The slight caveat, I suppose, is I don't really like hold up horses too much here at Wetherby. Those fences in the home, those line of 5 fences in the home straight could just mean it could just be very difficult to pick up the leaders. So for that reason, I was going to have a little bit of money on into Overdrive as well for Mark Wolford. Thought it was a cracking run behind Long Presse last time. He's going to be ridden prominently. He goes well here. Christ, it scared the death out of me, hasn't it, dog? You see me jump then? I went, oh. Sorry about that.
Step out.
Yeah, into Overdrive will be the other one. I'll have a couple of quid on. He's going the right way, and he could be a good bit better than 142. Take the Long Presse out of that. He's won that Newcastle rehearsal quite well.
Oh, honestly, sorry, Andrew, I'm going to have to butt in here because Daryl's gone and took my 2 horses in this race. Again, I'm siding with 2, but I have them in my priority the other way around, though, because of that hold-up style where this race nearly killed me last year when Empire still went and fell in it because he was coming from further back, made that mistake then rather than it went to prominent races in the end. So I'm determined not to make that mistake again this year, and I am with Into Overdrive as the main selection there for, but like I said, I can't leave Zanza go. Even at 11 to 1, I still can't leave him each way now that he has been chipped in from 25 to 1. But Into Overdrive, I thought he ran an absolute belter last time out in the rehearsal, beating just 1 length behind Long Presse, as you say, who, yes, it was a great weight carrying performance, of course, from Venetia Williams's runner, but Into Overdrive did very little wrong in his bid for a 5-timer, and he still improved in defeat in that run. Outpaced from 4 out, but stayed on well. £4 rise for that. I think he's a very smart horse and has a big prize well within his compass. So Into Overdrive as the main selection, saver on Zanza. Andrew, you joining us on the Into Overdrive Zanza double?
Half with you. I bet 4 horses each way this race with the firms offering enhanced places. I mean, Chamblou was, what I napped in the Charlie Hall last year. He was 20 lengths clear when departing 3 out. It was a little bit underwhelming in the spring. In his 2 runs there, I know he was second last time out behind Sam Brown at Aintree, but he was beaten 15 lengths. And I can leave him alone at 9 to 4, let him win. Into Overdrive, my theory with him is he needs a small field over fences. All his wins, even over hurdles, were in fields of 7 or fewer runners. If all 12 stand their ground, I can see his jumping going to pot, so I don't like him at the price. Sounds Russian, I'm not usually fussed about. Chantry House is another small field merchant, in my opinion, who could go backwards if running in a field of 12 here. He's been nibbled out in the betting, but not for me. Around about 5 to 1. Zanza, we napped him last time out, and I've got to back him each way. He loves flat left-handed track. He's not a Cheltenham horse. It took Philip Hobson Connections about 84 years to realise that's not unusual with that yard. It takes a little while to realise what their horses need. So yeah, I'll back Sansa each. I have backed Sansa each way. Sporting John is the other one I like. He seems to go well this time of year. In November to February, something like 6 wins and a 4th from 7 starts. The 4th came at Cheltenham when the pace held up and his hold-up style wasn't held. I don't mind hold-up horses here at Wetherby when the ground's on the soft side, because if it's cut up on the inner, they're going to be switched wide for a run and hopefully take the sort of the Harry Skelton route and sort of come wide. He's the kind of horse you don't want to back each way though, because he's going to win or blow out. He's back over fences for the first time in a while. He'll probably clout the first and pull up or win. So Sporting John to win, Zanza each way. The other two are Kolesnikov's been off the track for an age, but he's a horse who's always gone well left-handed, always gone well fresh. Seasonal debut record, 3 wins a second, and an unplaced effort from 5 starts. So he could go well for Amy Murphy. And Topville Ben, loves going left-handed, loves the mud. His Wetherby record below Grade 2 level, first, third. One of the wins in this race in 2019. 10 to 1 third in the race last year when I tipped him up each way. He's 25 to 1, 20 to 1, and if you're getting 4 or 5 places, then Topville Ben, the more rain the better, could plot it into a place perhaps without winning. So yeah, it's a cracking race, but I think we're all in agreement on Zanza, running a good race again.
Can we just say, how on earth did Fanny and Destravel finish 7th at Newbury?
Yeah, I mean he was going to be lapped, wasn't he?
Yeah,
after about a fence. So that was he was one I tipped up in that race in my column, and I think I was on each way 6 places. And he was 1,000 after 2 fences in running, and you were like, hang on a minute, he's still persevering. He hasn't pulled him up yet. And I kept backing. He won me a new house in the end. He was obviously never going to get there, but unless 6 fell in front of him. But yeah, he's been back for this, and I don't know. I just 10 to 1, 11 to 1 up and just let him win. And
I think that the shape of this, the course, and like I said before about the run of home fences down that home straight, I think could just stop his momentum where he looks to really get going. But I do think there's a big pot in him, so he's probably worth keeping on side going forward perhaps at an Aintree or something like that in the spring.
Oh, I've abandoned my Fanny Cliff, unfortunately. I love the little horse, but dear God, he lulls you in, doesn't he? So many, well, for me anyway, time and time again. But Lucy Turner does get a good tune out of him anyway, and I love the little horse. And yeah, but 12 to 1 though, you may chance to side with him, because yeah, he'll still be plugging on all the same, even if he belts every fence on the way around.
Probably just back him in running, Kate. If you're gonna have a tenner on him, just wait until he hits that maximum on Betfair Exchange and then just back him and take it on.
That's actually it, isn't it? That is a way to play Fanny and Destraval, is in running. As soon as he gets himself detached, that he will continue to be plugging on there in the finish anyway. That's a good way to do it instead. Right, so now we are back to Kempton for the Grade 1 Christmas hurdle for 4-year-olds and over 2 miles at 155, where we don't have a walkover, as many of us were scared and anticipating that we might have had. But we do have 5 runners, 2 of which Nicky Henderson at the head of the market, where we get the best horse in training, Constitution Hill, as the 1 to 5 market leader. So, Andrew, what do you do to play this race from a betting perspective?
Well, that's a good way of putting the question, because I think Constitution Hill will win. No prizes for saying that. I think probably Epatante will finish second, but the one I have bet each way and will be doing in the exacta to finish second to Constitution Hill and the trifecta to finish third behind Constitution Hill and Epatante is Highway 102 for Chris Gordon, just because of his record at the track and his record right-handed in general. I mean, he bolted up in the handicap hurdle at Ascot last time by 7.5 lengths. His 2 runs at Kempton, he beat West Cork in novice hurdle company, the Grade 2 Dovecote hurdle, and he finished second in a Lanzarote over 2.5 a trip. He doesn't stay. He's going to make the running, and it's kind of like 66 to 1 shot goes off in front in a small field, gradient contest. They might just leave him alone. He's not going to be good enough to beat Constitution Hill, but if he comes stand side and that's the place to be, maybe he's the kind of horse who rallies under pressure as well. Maybe he can finish second. Maybe he can finish third. But I think he's the outsider of 5, 66 to 1. I'll bet him each way with our new sponsors. and Bet UK, and I just think he'll outrun his odds here. So yeah, Constitution Hill, Epperton, Highway 102, the first three.
And nicely done for keeping the new sponsors sweet as well, Mr. Mount. So that is very well done. Yes, but 66-1 though is a big price for a horse of his course and distant record, Highway 102. So a couple of ways to play this race. Then, Daryl, do you have a similar approach?
No, not really. I'll just let him win. For me, I don't know why they don't just let Epperton just run out the back here and just run out the back a couple of more times and get a handicap for the county hurdle or something like that. That's the way I would be training there now. But yeah, I mean, it's just a pleasure to watch him, isn't it? I'm not going to have a bet in this race. I've got no other angles there. That's intriguing what Andrew said, but I've got no way into this race.
No, yeah, no better way with 5 runners then within it. But I'll get you on the Nikki Henderson race planner blower there for Epperton to go watch her come the festival. And I would love to see that all the same. Right, we have the big race up next. This is the Grade 1 King George VI chase for 4-year-olds and over 3 miles at 2:30. More runners than we were expecting here as well than earlier on when we were looking at this race, because we have 9 declared runners, which is great to see. Paul Nichols obviously has a strong hand with 3 runners in here. Now, lads, I'm going to kick us off because I have a massive fear that the pair of you two, or at least one of you, is going to seal my angle into this race then, because we've talked about this horse time and time again, that he's always underestimated and always overpriced as a result. And that is dear old Eldorado Allen, 33-1. He, to me, is the horse. Of course, it's going to be a massive long shot then for him to actually win this. But he is the horse for me that represents the value, which I think is the key point to add into this point I'm going to make, and from an each way play. And I don't think I'm chucking away the win part of that bet potentially either with the each way play, because as I say, I, along with many others, just continue to underestimate this horse. He goes under the radar, but look what he's done already this season. Second to Brave Man's Game in the Charlie Hall, beaten just 3.5 lengths. Second again behind Protectorate in the Betfair Chase. Admittedly, obviously a Plutar did disappoint within that, but instead of people giving Eldorado Allen credit for his performances, they instead use him as a stick to beat other horses with and their performances, which I'm trying to change that mentality shift now with him. So yeah, if he's 33-1 and the horse only beaten 3.5 lengths is 9-4, you can give me Eldorado Allen each way all day long. Daryl, who do you like?
I nearly came down on Eldorado Allen, but I don't know.
But you did what? You can say it. I can take it.
I kind of like, I've looked back, I've backed him a few times as you have, and I just look back and I just think that maybe he's a horse to back when fresh, and returning 37 days here. I just don't know if he's good enough, really. Now, but yeah, 33-1's a more than fair price. I couldn't put anybody off a 33-1 shot, that's for sure. I've just seen the market now that Le Press is now fav. I expected them to flip flop him to go fav. He was in the Brown Advisor. I think he was 5-2, and Brave Man's Game 3-1. So I expect Brave Man's Game to be second favourite here. Just a slight caveat, because me and Andrew and yourself have said about Le Press, they jumping slightly out to the left. Now, no one's really been mentioning that. I've seen a lot of pundits really fancy Le Press for this, but he does jump out to that left. And this could come down to fractions, and that could just be a slight negative. This is a tight enough track now over fences, and we won't be losing too much ground. I do think he'll be ridden prominently, though. I think too much was made of that Newcastle rehearsal win. I think too much is always made of weight carrying performances. So I do think his rating of 170 is inflated. If they was on a left-handed track, I'd have him to beat Brave Man's Game. But I do like Brave Man's Game here at Kempton. He won the Court Star last year. Now, the slight concern with that Court Star win was when you play it against the King George last year, the King George went very much harder through the early part of the race and through the middle section of the race. And Brave Man's Game came home a lot quicker than that race, but he still would have been beaten around 9 lengths. So the same distance as Clan des Oboe by Tornado Flyer. That's without taking into account his stamina would have been stretched more in the King George than it would have been in the Court Star. So he has a little bit to prove. He's never, over fence, I think he's faced more than 4 runners in a race. So that's another slight concern. The other one is that he's not beaten any Irish horses. Envoy Allen is the Irish representative here. I think Envoy Allen's the value. I like the pair of them, so I'm kind of just waiting to try, sort of tinker around with money and prices and stuff like that to try and get the best value I can. I will be back in Brave Man's Game, and I will be back in Envoy Allen, who I just feel the way he travels through a race will give him every single chance of winning this. He won it down Royal last time over 3 miles in his first attempt, but it was very slowly run. It was slower than the handicap on the car, so he didn't really prove his stamina, if you like, in those terms. But he's related to plenty of cross-country winners. And again, just the way he travels through his race. He jumped really sloppy at Down Royal last time. That's not normally him. He's a bit more clinical at his fences there. And I think he's got a big chance. He's the one that's proven in open graded company, if you like. He's been flat out over 2 miles, but he's still been running well. He's been proven in open graded company, whereas Brave Man's Game and Long Presse, they've both sort of just been mixing with the same novices from last year. So we're really going to get a better handle on the form, I think. And I'm thankful Envoy Allen's here. I think 7-1's a fair price. So the 2 there for me, Kate.
Oh, I like it then. So taking on Long Presse, who we do all love, but like say, it is just that issue about him jumping out to his left. And what a turn up that would be then for Cheveley Park as well, after all the disappointments they've had so far this season. So Gerhard's setback, Bernie Hollow then out, and Allaho's return being pushed back as well. If Envoy Allen comes to save the day for them in the King George, Andrew, who do you like?
This is a funny one, isn't it? I'm going to go for Miller's Bank and Brave Man's Game. Those are the 2 I've bet, the 2 I'm putting up in my column. We'll go for the field. I mean, Long Presse, love him, think he's a fantastic horse, but he does jump out to his left. And do you want to back a 2-to-1 favourite in a Grade 1 contest who's running on a track that isn't ideal for him? No. Brave Man's Game, he goes off the boil in the spring. And if you look at his record outside of that period, October to February, 8 wins from 9 starts, the defeat by half a length on his hurdling debut when he ran green. I've heard 1 or 2 people say, "Oh, he raced wide at Wetherby on the better ground." He did, but he won comfortably enough, and I think he would have won wherever he raced that day. Envoy Allen, I mean, he's not been convincing recently, and they've tried him over 2 miles. He stepped up to 3, he won, but his rivals underperformed, and he's hung badly to the left. A number of times he's run on right-handed tracks. He's run some absolute shockers right-handed on occasions. So, again, at a single-figure price, I think you're taking a big risk backing him. Hitman, it's the stamina. Wouldn't surprise me to see him finish, second, give Nichols, 1-2 in the race. Frodon's going to be jumping out to his left. I know he's won this race, but he's a 10-year-old now, and I'm not convinced that we should be backing him even at 20-1. Royal Piggy, but he's another one who wants to go left-handed as well, and I think he did win this way round, but he jumped out to his left, and it was in sort of week. It was here, wasn't it? At Kempton, of course, but he jumped out to his left, and since then they've raced him exclusively on left-handed tracks, which probably gives you a clue. Ahoy Senor, I thought would have won the long walk hurdle if they'd gone back over timber, which I think they should. Eldorado Allen, as soon as he passed the post at Wetherby, I'll put in my track at Welsh National. I was really disappointed they ran him, because I thought, oh God, if only could they leave him fresh and run him at Chepstow on the 27th. 30, I mean, he wants to go left-handed as well, but then again, you've got several horses who want to go left-handed here. One, including one who's 2-1, one's 33-1. So I'm not going to put you off back in the 33-1 shot each way. Particularly with sort of four places on offer with one firm. But Miller's Bank's an interesting one. I mean, again, the number of times we've seen horses in the King George who've got a lookout classed on paper or in terms of official ratings, but the Kempton form comes to the fore. Those were long memories before Daryl was born, in fact. In 2017, I'll put 2 up in my column for this race. Double shuffle each way at 100-1 for Tom George, a horse you will know a lot about, Kate. Got beaten a length into second behind Mike Blight, and T for 2 for Nick Williams, 33s into 20s. Those 2 had fantastic Kempton form. Miller's Bank, 2 runs here, a first and a second in graded company. Other right-handed runs, plenty of good form at Huntingdon. I know he bombed out the only time he tried 3 miles. That was at Punchestown, finishing 5th, but it came a little bit too soon after that Grade 1 win at Aintree last time out. So, he's a Grade 1 winner. He's got a touch of class. Since then, he seems to have been, sort of hinting that he wants another attempt at this trip, staying on strongly over 2.5 at Carlisle and the like. You look at his right-handed record in total, I think he's only once been out of the first sort of 2 or 3. And first-time cheap pieces, might help, might not. But at 60-61, you can take the chance. And all he's got to do is creep round the inside, let all those horses jump out to their left, and leave a nice pathway up the inner. So yeah, Brave Man's Game, Miller's Bank, Hitman for a third one if you wanted to, but yeah, most of these should be going the other way around.
Yeah, like I say, right-handed track there, but Miller's Bank 66-1 then as the outsider of the field, though, for the long shot. But I think we're all in agreement that Brave Man's Game is probably the horse to beat for in terms of win purposes, at least for the King George anyway. But before I move on, can't possibly go without acknowledging that. Daryl, who is this?
This is Emmy.
Oh, anyone who's listening to this audio podcast will have no idea what we're talking about, but oh my god, the cutest little munchkin of a dog I think I've ever seen there. Daryl just presented. Hello. Was this who was barking earlier?
Yeah, she was crying outside the door as well, so I just had to let her in.
She wants to make a point that she's backing in the King George, and we should all let her and pay her lots of attention.
We should also point out that no animals were harmed in the making of this video.
No, definitely not. Exactly, no. Even listening to our tips, they were not harmed in the process because she can't understand us and she hasn't got her own money to back what we've been telling her to anyway. Right, our final scheduled race is a 0-140 novices limited handicap chase for 4-year-olds and over 2 mile 4.5 furlongs at 3:05. Wide open this race, Andrew. Who are you siding with?
I'm going West Cork. Probably going to nap him as well. He's had 2 runs over fences, both left-handed Warwick, jumped out to his right on each occasion. When you look at his form right-handed over hurdles, his first 2 runs in that direction, one at Huntingdon. The third run, he was second to Highway 102 in the Grade 2 Dovecote Novices Hurdle, doing best of those to come from off the pace. And his only other right-handed run at Ascot finished 5th. Disappointing on the face of it, but he suffered a bad overreach that day, and you can forgive it. So West Cork going right-handed. He's been competitive off a similar handicap mark over hurdles. He was placed in the county hurdle last year off a £1 higher mark. So yeah, I think West Cork. This seems to have been the plan for his chase campaign. First time, right-handed, around about 5 or 6 to 1. I think he'll go really well.
Yeah, on his third chase start then for West Cork, like I say, so 6 to 1 there, but it is a wide open race. Darrow, who do you like?
Interesting, isn't it? That Harry Skelton is here and not on Chamblou over at Wetherby. I thought that was quite interesting. Yeah, I like West Cork. I thought he was the biggest danger to the horse that I think I might nap as well, and that's Balco Coastal from Nicky Henderson. I thought the run at Newbury last time was really quite eye-catching. Now that he can jump slightly out to the left, right, which is obviously not ideal here at Kempton. But what I would say is that he's got a great record cutting right-handed, and I'm hoping that Nico is pretty clued up to it and can tuck him in a little bit, because I think he's got a hell of an engine. He's stepping back up in trip today. Looked like he needed that run at Newbury. Made plenty of sort of little niggly novice errors, but really just stayed on nicely in the home straight. And I just thought he was going to come on a ton for it. I think 133 really underestimates him quite significantly. If you go back through his hurdle form from last year, that third to Langer Dan in the Antry Festival, I thought was a really good piece of form. It actually ties in a little bit with West Cork, what he did over hurdles. So I just thought that he was one of a few that were really ahead of the rating, and yeah, I quite like him a lot for this. I'm surprised he's not favourite. He's well backed at Newbury, so keep an eye on the market. I think he'll be fairly supported. So
yeah, like I say, he was well backed, wasn't he? 7 to 1 at the time of recording, but this will be his second chase start then for him. So more to come from.
He's not 7 to 1 now. He's 11 to 2 best. So
is he? Oh, I've not seen the rearranged mark.
Yeah, well, that 7 to 1 was anti-post before his final decks were known. So everyone, I mean, all the firms copied each other. The first firm priced up went 9 to 2 Solo, Don Alvaro, 11 to 2 each of 3 Panic Attack, West Cork, and Balco Coastal. And now
I think we're
11 to 2 is under pressure. So take the 11 to 2 if you want to bet.
Yeah, I think we're on the right too. I think West Cork. I do think they've ridden him in mind with handicaps in mind. So it would be no surprise to see him take a big step forward, going back right-handed. And Balco Coastal's got plenty more to come. I'm sure he's going to be a chaser. You look at his point-to-point form; it's worked out pretty nicely. So it is future lies over fences. So
Yeah, they always said that about him, didn't they? When they were always quoted with post-race comments that he will make a chaser, he's going to make a better chaser. So the pair of you two make very eloquent cases for West Cork and Balco Coastal. I'm going to make probably an uneloquent case for the outsider of the field, because basically this is an ever so slight pat on the back for myself here, because this day last year I could have had the best day of all time. Got the King George winner, the winner of this race in Jacamar, Empire Steel, I was sure was going to win the Roland Merit, but for four leg, could have had the best day of my 3 bets. And a horse that I've tried to find the similar profile to Jacamar to come into this race for, and I think it's Art Approval, 16-1 for this race. Who it takes a bit of imagination again to be siding with this lad, hence why he is the price that he is. But I'm going to hope that they're sticking with him over fences for a reason, because he hasn't proven the most natural of jumpers so far. Neither did Jacamar coming into this race, though, when he won it last year. Art Approval, £3 above his last winning mark, did come over hurdles in a hugely competitive handicap at Cheltenham in November 2021. He lost his way subsequently, and that theme has continued to a large extent over fences so far. Back down in the handicap as a result. This race tends to go to horses who take a lead, and I think this drop down in trip will also suit him. Gets cheek pieces fitted for the first time in this country here as well. So he is a left field selection, but as the outsider of the field, Art Approval to me at 16-1, in the hope that he can do a Jacamar from last season. So yeah, bit of just sort of, it's all gone out the window of the final race for me, to be honest with you. But Daryl, I'll go back to you, please, for anything from anywhere else.
Oh, right. I'm at Wincanton on Boxing Day, so I'm waiting to see what sort of some prices for some horses. So I'll just tell you the two that I'm waiting for. Obviously, a horse with no name in the 1253 is going to take a beating second season novice. So I'm just interested to see how they price that market up. The other one in the 203 is Edith's Elton, who ran really well behind Shake 'em Up Harriet X to the time before it returns to Wincanton. I think he'll take a bit of beating. In the 410, I really like the chance of Via Serendipity. This horse screamed home at Lingfield last time. Does like Lingfield, but has won at Wolverhampton. And if you back this horse in the winter months of November and December, he's got an absolutely great record. And well, I say an absolute great record. He's got the form figures don't look at all appealing, but when you delve into it and see what he's been beaten by the likes of Pile Driver and a couple of other very good horses narrowly, then I think he's ready to strike. In the 340 at Kempton, I like Theatre Glory. Been speaking a lot to Jerry McGrath, and they seem to think that this horse is very, very smart, and they're looking at them. They want to look at the mare's hurdle for her, so she'd have to be better than 137. She's in a handicap there. In the 220 at Leopardstown, I think Hollow Games will turn over his stablemate Phil Dorr. He was impressive on his chase debut. I think they've been running him over the wrong trip. 2 miles, I think is his trip. He's a strong stayer, and that is about all, I think.
Nicely done, very nicely done and wrapped up there. And we're going across disciplines as well as across nations for Daryl's selections, but of course probably more and even more depth into those selections in your column though anyway. And Andrew, where are we looking for you?
Yeah, all over the shop. Kempton 12-10, I've bet off to a fly each way at 100-1. I thought he'd improve for his latest effort, and being by Scirocco, the soft grounds suit. Thumpwell 12-32, good news. Got a fantastic record over hurdles in Advisor. Thumpwell 142, Dobrin for the Sam Thomas Yard. Been off the track for a while. Was a big eye catcher when winning a bumper at Hereford on his debut when racing in the swamp on the inside. Won again since, and Yard's going well at the moment, so he could run a big race despite the absence. Wincanton 125. I'll be betting 2 Sizable Sam and the one Daryl mentioned, Edith's Elton. 410, I'll take on his Via Serendipity with Civil Law, course expert who won here last time out. 520 Wolverhampton, Crimson King, one I tipped up in my column at Lingfield, only for the meeting to be abandoned. He'll go well. And back to Wincanton, 313, GPEC or JPEC. I've not looked at the running styles of all his opponents, but if he looks like he's going to get an easy lead, he'll run a big race at each way price.
Oh, I like it a lot then. Yeah, and that 410, just to mention, was from Wolverhampton for both of the lads there as well. But yeah, again, all over the place. Goodness me, lads, we give you an extra hour after declarations to record this podcast, and you come out with everything, chucking it all at us. So very well done for the pair of you for that. Right, Andrew, I will go back to you then, please, for your nap.
I'm going to go West Cork. So I've not done all the cards for everywhere yet. I haven't got all my sort of stats through my database. But yeah, I think 305 Kempton, West Cork, going right-handed for the first time over fences will bring about improvement.
Oh, lovely job, Daryl. I think we know where we're going, but you're not going to go Balco Coastal then and take on Andrew at West Cork.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to go Balco Coastal, take him on. Bit of fun, eh?
Oh,
I think we've got the TriCast trifecta between us there, haven't we? Because I like the case you made for yours there, Kate, as well. So.
Oh, really? Did you? Oh, God, that's a surprise. Thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Yeah, there you go. There's your trifecta. Hopefully it'll pay a decent amount then in the 305 at Kempton. And I'm going to go into Overdrive in the 135 at Wetherby. A hugely competitive contest that is, but hopefully he's got more to offer anyway. So thank you so much to the lads, as always, for all of their hard work. They really have themselves gone into Overdrive with all of their preparation for the cards on Boxing Day. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Bet UK for their sponsorship, of course, as well, with that new customer link that you can find below this video. So all that is left for me to do is to wish you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and we'll speak to you again, well, next week, I guess.